at the mental hospital.
Yes, we are.
And we
are
are all getting locked up, and it's not going good. So what you said tonight is that you met Misha that way, and you also followed Henry.
I did, yeah.
So you're a stalker.
Tim stood there in his nice warm coat, and I'm in a t-shirt like this.
Are you sure this is normal? And sometimes you just want to react to that idiot.
Yeah, just go.
That I'd come on to them.
What?
Bear in mind, this man was old enough to be my granddad.
I cannot do it. It's so toxic from every department.
I'd work for anyone in here. That's not a problem, because I know that everyone in here doesn't have an issue.
Right, get him a brush there.
Are you not seen a big cat eating a little dog?
Hey, welcome to TUP. So we're here today with myself, Misha from Midnight Lancs. We've got Tim from Carspunk and Leyland Car Care, and we've also got Henry from HD Wraps. So Tim, do you want to talk about whereabouts we are today?
We're at the mental hospital.
Yes, we are.
And
we are,
all
guys.
getting locked up, and it's not going good. Not at all. We are here at Leyland Car Care today, which is our home. It's where Carspunk is, and also where we host all the meets for Midnight Lancs. So yeah, this is our first Talks Up podcast, so please bear with us with all the bits and pieces that may go wrong and may go right.
So yeah, as Tim said, this is our first ever podcast with Talked Up, the automotive podcast where we cover stories that we should and maybe shouldn't. So what have we been up to this week? So what have you been up to, Tim?
Cleaning cars.
Cleaning cars.
As usual.
Now anything in particular?
Yeah, a few bits and pieces have come through the doors. Bit of marketing with Seb over here. But yeah, getting ready for this. I think this is been everybody's thing to get ready for this, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Henry?
Well, same really, getting ready for this. Finishing off our project car. So that's out there now.
Oh, what's the project car?
It's a C63.
All right.
Oh,
It's the coupe, the AMG,
nice.
in chrome.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll draw a bit of attention.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a shame about we've got no sun though, isn't it?
That's you said about bringing that to one of the next meets, didn't you?
Yeah, we'll get that down.
We'll get that down as a feature car.
Definitely. I mean, we've been planning for our next meets with Midnight Lancs, so we've been doing a lot of cars and coffee with the weather changing, and because we're missing all the sunlight, and at car meets people want to be there to see the cars, so we've kind of changed the times of our meets. That's been our focus through winter. Also making lots of new merch and ideas and stuff like that, and preparing for next year really. So yeah, exciting stuff. So today our guest is Korey from Midnight Lancs. So welcome to the show. So do you want to introduce yourself and how you're in the car scene, what brought you here, a little bit about yourself?
That's fine. Obviously, I'm Korey. Misha's already told you. I'm the other half of Midnight Lancs. I'd say one of us is the brains and one of us is the beauty, but I think we both qualify for both of those. I got into cars through from a really young age, actually. My house is actually backed onto the M6. So my grandma used to take me up on the bridge that goes over the motorway, and I used to just point at cars and tell her what was what, and I'd know it from the lights. We sat there in the dark, and I'd be like, she'd ask me what they were, and I'd be able to tell her straight away. I was a weird kid.
I suppose it's better than train spotting.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, each to their own, but
I've got a couple of friends that do train spotting as well.
He's got the
We've all got
Francis guy,
something.
didn't he, on
he's
TikTok?
amazing.
He's brought a new dynamic to the...
With his head camera.
Yeah.
I love it. I want one.
Is that what you used to do on the motorway bridge?
I will. I need to go back to being 4 and get a little head camera. That's some proper good shots.
I think you'd suit that.
Have it on my head.
Yeah.
So what's brought you back to car, into, so obviously with you being into cars from a young age, what's brought you back into it with,
It's always been there. It was just a case of never feeling like I was going to places and being accepted with me being obviously different, with me being gay, and obviously with you being a woman as well, you've experienced it yourself. You go to things and it just doesn't seem to be very accepting. You don't seem to walk in to open arms, and everybody, even if you have a cool car or whatever, it just gets shunned because of who you are. You're attached to that car. So it's for a long time I didn't bother, and then obviously I came to one of the first meets that you had, walked in and just instantly felt completely different. Felt like everything was you know, a proper happy place. Everyone wanted to get on, and it was just like a big family. And that sort of dragged me back into it. Got me the little kick up the bum that I needed, and now I've got back into cars again.
Good.
Thanks for breaking my bank account.
Yeah.
See, that's crazy, that, actually, because obviously, looking at the scene, you assume everybody's like a real big, massive petrol head, and
Yeah.
it's full of, you know, big, boisterous boys kind of thing.
Like this.
Yeah, but then when you actually turn up at a meet, it's not.
No.
You know, they're all friendly, they're all nice people, they're all reasonably, you know, accepting.
Yeah.
So I even find it strange that you had an issue, you know, with the men.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, you know, we're in 2022 and you know, there's so many different people from all different walks of life. Like, you know, people still do experience that discrimination. It's unfortunate, like myself and you, we've experienced it and we've shared our stories around that. Have you guys received anything along those lines or?
No,
No?
just a normal fat white guy.
Oh yeah, well, you're accepted everywhere, so, you know.
Yeah, we accept us into anything.
But what I love is the diversity with everyone involved in the car scene. There's so many different people with so many different stories. And especially what we do within Midnight Lancs is try and include everyone, and it's great.
Would you say, though, that the car community or the car meet community is more male-dominated?
Yeah.
'Cause I have seen
Yeah.
there's been a change. You know, with Carspunk, we did a thing called The Girl Got This, and seeing how girls are now more getting into doing the cars up and buying these nice cars, you know, and the car community is evolving, I think. You know, I know what you've been saying, but I do see a change happening in the car community. Have you felt that?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
It's in a
Yeah.
massive influx of girls doing some really cool builds at the minute.
You know what? I think it all came from lockdown, you know.
It did.
During COVID, you know, girls, loads of different people, to be fair, and they couldn't go out and enjoy like nights out in the nightclub or, you know, going shopping or bowling. And a lot of people turned to cars because it was something you could do within your own time. And people may have had it in the back of their mind as to what they were, you know, they were wanting to get into that. But during lockdown, a lot of people started focusing on the cars. We saw, you know, a huge influx in people getting in touch with Midnight Lancs saying, you know, about the story and about, you know, how they've just discovered it and they've, you know, they want to get involved with it. So when we came back after lockdown, we saw an influx in a lot of girls that decided to come along, and it's just growing from there. And loads of different people join in.
We saw a lot of our growth through lockdown as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like our followers through lockdown went through the roof.
Crazy.
And then when we came back, we were scared about what numbers to expect. Weren't we? we didn't know what was going to happen.
But now we do meets, you know, at
Yeah.
Leyland Car Care, and it's exceeding like 200s. We're in the 200s mark.
Yeah, and it's
like.
a good environment. People coming down, mixing, all ages, and you know, our families coming down. We've got the food and all that going on. And it's just a good little community. You know, we're going to see how it goes through the winter months. Last one we just did in November was really good. Everybody got in here and huddled together, and it was unfortunately got my injury from that car and burnt my hand.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you're going to
That
tell them
hurt.
about that.
So we had a caterum that came in, and it had just been dropped off, and the guy said, "Can you just give it a quick flick?" He drove it here in the rain with no helmet on, no nothing. It was just pure, just drive it, you know. Which I think is the best thing into it. It's just like that's feeling the wind and everything, and you in one of them things. They're fast. Anyway, we parked it in here, and we had to give it a quick wipe round and stuff, and I stuck my hand straight down where the exhaust is. As you saw, the aftermath of it. It was it was quite painful, but now it's healing up quite quick. It's been painful though, because everything, when we're cleaning cars, everything that can stick itself into it has stuck itself into it. It's like that with a knife. Oh, I've been killing. But yeah.
There's a really nice story behind, you know, when we first met and that on my birthday. It was quite similar time to when I actually said I was owner of the club, because I was really scared of how people would perceive me. And I feel like the way that you came across with that was just a true example of what people in the car scene could be like. And it was just so nice. I'll never forget that.
Come on, Korey, how
I
did
think
you
we
meet?
should.
Well, we met at the first meet that I came to, the one like we were saying before, dragged me back into cars. Then a couple of weeks later, you had that other meet that we did in Bolton.
Yeah.
And it was on your birthday, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I didn't even know you then properly, did I? But I realised that, you know, you were doing the meet on your birthday. Nobody really knew. So we all turned up with little party hats, and we had a cake printed with midnight lengths on it for you, and we did loads of stuff. And I was like, let me just buy this stranger a cake. Turned up with this cake, and I was like, here you go. I remember stopping down the road to put all the balloons in the windows of the cars. I remember I was fighting with balloons because I was trying to get them when they put the window up, like just so the end of the balloon was shut in the window. And I remember when we were coming down, like all the way up the road, because it was hidden, weren't it? We were coming up there. I can't remember who it was, but one of them opened the window, and I just watched the balloons come off after I just spent about an hour putting balloons on cars. In my head, I
just thought all these people, they don't even know me, and they've made this much effort to acknowledge, the meets and how they enjoy them, and I just found that so touching, and it's just something I'll never forget. So
you're just such a nice person, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you are.
How long ago was it? How long has it been?
Oh, it must have been about
3 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's not been as long as you'd expect, though, like, with the way that we are with each other.
Yeah, we were both in courses. I mean, like our taste in like stuff in cars has changed dramatically, and we've changed a lot as people throughout all of the experiences with Midnight Lancs as well, I would say.
Yeah.
So what you said tonight is that you met Misha that way, and you also followed Henry.
I did, yeah.
So you're a stalker.
Yeah.
I did, yeah. Well, no, I wasn't following Henry. I wasn't following him. I was at the traffic lights near my house. And Henry just happened to pull up next to me.
Don't worry.
And I was looking out the window of my car at his car, and he was looking at my car. So we were just looking at each other's cars, all right?
A mutual
But
love.
I was actually admiring the rap.
I was looking at the bonnet to see what company it was, and my rap changed.
Yeah.
So your relationship with Misha has grown since then, and you got into Midnight Lancs and become a part of it.
I've become like Misha's little scapegoat. I love it.
Scapegoat.
Anytime something goes wrong, it's like, Korey, can you just... And I'm like, oh.
So saying all that, well, how do you think your confidence being homosexual in the car scene has changed since everything you've just been saying about, coming back into the car scene and, meeting Misha?
Yeah.
And how's it helped you in many ways?
When I used to go to like meets and shows and stuff like that, like it'd constantly be in the front of my brain. Like people, I'd be walking through and I'd be like, people are staring at me. People don't want me here. This, that, and the other. Wherever I go now, it's just in the back of my head. I really don't care because like we've built up something so great where I think people mustn't care. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got so many people that are friends of us, come to the car shows, enjoy us as people as well as the stuff that we do. Where it's just put my mind at ease, and like I can go anywhere now and not feel like everyone's staring at me. And if I do, I've built up this bad attitude now where I can deal with it. It doesn't bother me anymore. I just put it to the back of my brain, and I'm like, you know what? That's your problem, not mine.
So this is what we're trying to do with Car Spunk, is having that confidence and that courage and determination to do different, things. People who are stepping out that shadow or that area of where they're feeling a bit of, anxiety. And getting really getting out there, which is what you're doing, and it's really good to see. What you're getting in, and I see when you come to these nights, you're one of the main people who going round. Apart from when we get put on gate duty, obviously, when we're banished to the gate.
Misha being off down there. We know who wears the
Tim
pants.
and Korey are banished to the gate duty once again, down at the bottom, letting everybody in and out.
Tim stood there in his nice warm coat, and I'm in a t-shirt like this.
It's not a nice job.
I chose to wear that.
Yeah,
It was
you
my
came down
fault.
and you were like,
Oh, I was in shorts as well, weren't I?
It was my idea, shorts and a t-shirt.
I was in them tiny little shorts.
And I was like, are you sure this is normal?
Nothing I ever do is normal.
No.
When you're going back to like the way you felt, would you say that was mainly from other people, or would you say some of it would come from yourself as well, with your self-confidence within yourself?
I feel like it was probably me. Like I in the past, I tended to bite too soon. Like if someone looked at me, it could just be just a glance, and in the back of my head, I'd be freaking out, thinking, "Oh my God, they're staring at me. They hate me." Whereas it's like now I can tell the two apart, if that makes sense. Like I can walk past someone, if they look at me, I'll just smile and I'm happy, and it's like. But in the past, I probably would have been like, I'd probably grab Misha and be like, that person was staring at me.
So the more confident you got within yourself, the more accepted you felt others have had for you.
Yeah,
Would you say?
It's built this thing in the back of my head where I don't feel like I need to be different anymore. Like I used to go to shows and I'd put like this, I wouldn't say brave face on, but it was like, I sort of acted like a different person. I didn't want people to know me. And like when I was growing up, I did it as well. Obviously, like high school stuff like that, kids, they're always horrible, aren't they? And it's like all the way through school and stuff like that. Like I acted different because I didn't know myself and I didn't want anyone else to know me yet. And it's just, I've built up this thing where I've just finally found myself and
You
thrown
wanted to
myself out
conform to
Yeah.
the norm.
Right.
And I
in a
apologise
sense.
to everyone that's met me because you probably hate it.
I think
Well, I'm assuming that's probably why they love you, though, isn't it?
It could be.
Because
it
you
could
are
be.
now yourself.
I wouldn't blame them if they hated me. Like, I've got a very, very big mouth.
I think a big point is like where you've come from is, you know, when you did your rap on the Beamer.
Yes.
I feel like that's got a story behind it.
It did and it didn't. I did it at first because I really liked it, and then in the back of my head I was like, hang on, this works. So I had obviously the camouflage side that was dark and, you know, like gloomy, and that was supposed to be like the dark. Then the white side was like the light, and the pink down the middle was the little on the top. You know?
The pure sauce.
Just a
it.
little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
of, you know,
Yeah.
you
And
know how
now-
much I'm obsessed with pink. Anything that sparkles,
yeah.
pink, anything like that. I'm a stereotype, sorry.
And now you've got a new car, haven't you?
I have. I've just bought a Cooper S.
Nice.
No idea what I'm doing with it yet. Just one of those things where I just saw it and I was like, that's going to be mine.
Is it going to have anything to do with pink?
I don't think I'm going to do pink, you know.
Really?
I really don't. I'm feeling like steering away from it.
You need to sit down with Henry and get some ideas.
Yeah, we'll get some design thrashed out.
Yes.
He's got some wonderful
I mean, you never know what
designs.
could come in the future. It's probably going to end up pink.
Have you done a few minis, Henry, or?
Minis. Yeah, I've done quite a few minis actually. Yeah, the latest one was like a polka dot, but it was on a transparent because the lady wanted to keep the colour of the car.
Right.
So we did it on like lots of different colours to match their product that they were selling, and that's now somewhere in Italy.
You did.
Really?
Yeah,
You did Liv Cook's Urus pink.
Oh, I've seen
yeah,
that.
that was a nice pink.
Yeah, that was a nice pink.
Yeah,
on
she
that.
parks on the car park where I do my cheerleading all the time because her mum lives across the road. So every time she
Yeah.
parks on there, I'm always walking around it and I'm like, how does it feel to live my dreams? With
How are you with the football?
the football, me?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
How can you live her dreams then?
No, she's living mine in
All
a
right.
pink Lamborghini. No, not the football. Me and football does not work. Like, same sentence, absolutely not. My dad wishes. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. Did you get any grief originally when you went out into the car scene? Was there any kind of points that you would go back to where it gave you that anxiety? Or was it just the normal kind of just the way people are?
The thing that I noticed in the car scene, very big, was that like people will never ever say anything to your face. It tends to be a lot of social media and the way that people talk behind your back, like in messages, group chats, stuff like that. But the biggie for me was having someone, I'm not going to name them because obviously I'm not here to out people, but someone with quite a large following on TikTok. We know how TikTok works. People comment, videos get traction. But someone on TikTok decided to say that everything that I do was an inspiration from them because they used to have a car that was in a similar design to me. And then the car that she had after that was in the same colours as, you know, the one that I've got on the BM, or used to have on the BM. She decided to say that I'd stolen all her ideas and, you know, like, mashed them together and created my car, which I just want to add on, that was not the case because I had no idea who she was. But yeah, it was a very biggie because she decided to say that I wasn't creative, everything that I did was stolen from her, and it's like, it really, really got to me because I thought someone with such a large following coming for someone that, you know, at the time hardly had anyone. Like, I think at the time I was still in 3 figures of following on TikTok. It was literally, I had like 900 followers or something like that. But I suppose I've got her to thank really because I'm on my way. I'm not far from 10,000 followers on there now, and you know, I did a video responding back to it that got nearly 2 million views, and you know, I owe her a thank you somewhere in that.
Yeah.
It's always good to have different. There's always different types of inspiration. Isn't there? Sometimes inspiration comes from the negativities of things that happen, and you're learning by them and moving on and all the rest of it. But yeah,
I mean, how would you recommend how to tackle that for someone that's, you know, doesn't have any experience with, you know, being being attacked on social media by someone with such a big presence. It must be so intimidating. How would you recommend for someone to kind of go about that and to keep their dignity with it and respond, you know, in the best possible way?
The way that I did it was I kept my response quite professional in a way, but not professional. It's like, if you keep it polite, they don't know how to respond if you're nice to them. Do you know what I mean? Because they're being so horrible and they're openly being so horrible. If you're nice back to them or you publicly showcase the things that they've done, like what I did with this was, I took the comment out of the comments on that video and made a whole new video with the comment pinned in it so you could see what they'd said. I didn't say anything back. I wasn't being nasty. I literally just pegged what they'd said on my video and I just let the internet go wild.
Yeah.
It was literally like, I didn't have to do anything. I just pegged it, sat back and watched, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I literally, if I went on their profile now, to go through the comments on their videos, I still see people asking her why she's, you know, been so nasty to people that obviously are smaller than her, and you know the way that she bit at people and her attitude and stuff like that.
The internet can be just horrible, or sometimes it can be. And I don't know with you, Henry. I don't know what's happened, you know, with your business, but we've had it where we've had social media, and sometimes you just want to react to that idiot who's, you know, messaged something onto your business page, and they've put, honestly, some of the things that I've had put on, especially with the name like Car Spunk, you can imagine, you know. But just Leyland Car Care.
You set yourself up for it, really, didn't you?
With Car Spunk, you kind of, you know, you have to get it, and it's one of them things, and you know, the whole thing was to get attention and all that. But some of the ones that come onto Leyland Car Care, you know, I had a full-blown argument back in the day before I was more experienced. Before I was more experienced with how to deal with it, with the guys who we put on about when we cleaned some of the Formula One cars that we do, and they're like, "You didn't do that." I was like, "Yeah, I did. Here's another picture." No, you didn't do that one either. You've got that off Google. I went, go and find it on Google, and then I got taught, you know, do not get into these arguments because it's just one idiot who's online trolling. And you can really wind yourself up with it. You know, we recently had somebody who put on about the prices of a certain valet that we advertised on our social media, and he was like, "I can do 10 of them," and all this, and it was like, crack on. You know, just crack on. But people can go on there and they just see what you're doing. They don't like what you're doing. Say with your design of your BMW, which I remember seeing your car before Midnight Lanks was even here. Yep. You know, before we even did anything with Midnight Lanks. You know, I remember seeing your BMW at Tesco car park, and I used to think it because I think I said to you, didn't I?
Who's wrapped that? I should be doing that.
I know, yeah, and I did. I said basically to Henry, like, "That's a mint wrap. That did you do that?" He's like,
"No."
Sorry. No, it was nice. The other thing that you have to say in the world of cars as well is things don't always go as you plan.
Never.
Never. Yeah, no, they never go as you plan. So like I said, you guys from a distance will see my car and be like, "Oh my god, that car's so nice." But as some people were saying, I took that wrap off and wrapped it in green. And the reason I did that was because if you got up close to the car, you could see where the wrap was actually splitting. It had been like overstretched. I had the wrap custom printed as well because I didn't want anyone else to have the same. So I had the actual wrap itself printed with that pattern because it didn't exist. But because it was printed, the more it was stretched, the lighter the ink went. So it was like some patches, there'd be like a black part and it'd curve under and it'd turn grey. Yeah. Or it'd split and you'd be able to see like a bit of the paint underneath it. And it's just things that other people wouldn't notice, but I knew were there. Yeah. That really annoyed me. So like I say, I whipped it off and did it green.
Stuff that Henry's OCD would go mental.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I did follow it a few times and I did notice one or two things. But
now you say.
Who am I to say, you know, it's like...
There was a bit on the back as well, if you might have noticed. Yeah. There was a bit on the back where the print sort of like jumped and repeated itself. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed that, but yeah, that was another one. And I took the front bumper off because I built one of my friends built custom headlights for me. Bless him, it took him ages and he had to do it twice because they broke. And that was why my car wasn't in the parade.
Yeah, he drove my Celica.
Drove my car to his house at 11 o'clock at night to get those headlights built so it could be in the parade the day after, and they all fell apart.
I remember that. I remember seeing you the next day, not in the BMW,
Crying.
And it wasn't there. Booked in, and this year it got booked into the parade as no vehicle.
I didn't have a car. I didn't know what I was getting.
I was
just
Korey
walking. Just walking
I just
in
looked my
between
name in the plate.
Beep, beep.
Yeah. I'll be there with I'll put my sketches on and just come through the parade.
Henry's promised to be at the parade. When we're talking about the parade here, we're on about Leyland Festival.
Yes.
So this year, Leyland Car Care puts on a parade, and we do the whole park and the parade, and it's a brilliant day. Anybody who wants to come can come. What's the date? 17th of June, Father's Day weekend. So you will get to see Korey walking between loads of cars. But yeah.
I think last year I was expecting to go, but somebody wrote my car off.
Oh no.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a bit of bittersweet, to be fair, because I was getting fed up with the design anyway.
Yeah.
And now it's forced me to create something else
Yeah,
and get a new car. So,
definitely.
So talking about your rap and everything that you've just been talking about just then, do you think that people may have assumed when rocking up to these meets, you know, with the pink in it and all that kind of stuff, do you think that they were assumed anything, you know, about your sexuality or who you are?
It was brilliant. The amount of times that I stood back from my car, because when I first got it done, people didn't know it was my car, if that makes sense. It hadn't blown up yet. No one associated that car with me. So I just took a few steps back, sat on a wall behind my car, and I'd sit behind someone else's car on purpose so it looked like that was my car. And I'd just listen into what people were saying. And people would walk around the car and they'd be like, oh my God, this girl's got really good taste in rap. And I'd just sit there rubbing my hands together like, no, it's me. It's mine. But no, it was really good to hear people's opinions on it, because there was people that loved it and there was people that hated it. And it was I called it the Marmite car. There was people looked at it and they were like, ugh, pink. And it was like, that was my thing. I love pink. Pink's my thing. So
I think that's the beauty, though, isn't it, about having a because it's an individual thing, isn't it?
Exactly. You can design it to your own taste. You can, like you say, go to Henry for that.
You must have seen so many different tastes going through your place. You know, like I've seen some of the designs you've done, the people you've worked with, like we were talking about before with Curvaceous. You know, some of the designs that you've done for us, you know, and it is taste in it when it comes to
it's an individual thing, isn't it? I mean, I might not like it, but as long as the customer's happy, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
No, they're the one who's getting in it every single day. If it's not their, weekend car, that's going to enjoy it. So as long as they can enjoy it, it's like I've got one guy over in Knutsford. He's in his 70s, got an Aston Vantage, and he's done it with the most vibrant colours ever. Stripes all the way down with a massive explosion on the back end, and his wife will not get in it at all. So he's had to buy a separate car for his wife to drive because she will not get in it. But he loves it.
Yeah.
Imagine having that much money.
Yeah.
I love it when people go, that extra mile with things, though. Like, I know I've talked about this before, but like Pimp My Ride. Do you remember Pimp My Ride?
Yes.
Back in the day when they used to do absolutely crazy things. And I just think, you know what? People that go around driving those things and they're not afraid of what judgment will follow. Like yourself, like a lot of people.
I was a proper Pimp My Ride fan. I used to get off from school with my little lap tray and my tea. I'd be sat in front of TV waiting for it to come on buzzing.
Oh, it's just absolutely mental what people can do to it. And, people take big inspiration from that as well.
Yeah.
I know I have. And it's great to see it influencing other people. Really is. Like those raps that you do. It's not to everyone's taste, is it?
No.
And not everything is to everyone's taste, but it's really important that people are going out there and they're making stuff that's, catered to themselves and not afraid what people might think, which is something that's great about you, Korey.
Yeah, I think that's the great part as well, because obviously it's an extension to your personality as well, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks as long as you're happy with it.
Yeah.
That's all
I
that
used to say
matters.
to people all the time, you decorate the inside of your house, why not decorate your car?
Yeah.
It's literally like you walk in your house every day and you think, I'm going to decorate my house because I'm in here every day and I want it to be nice. You're in your car every day. Decorate your car.
Yeah, some people don't get it, do they? Some people are like, why are you modifying? I know my grandma's like that. She's like, why would you spend that much money on your car? Like,
I live with mine, I get that.
It's an extension of your personality, though, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. It's if you're spending that much time in your car and you enjoy it, and that's where your passion lies. Like people that have different hobbies, they would invest hundreds into it. Say if I was into knitting, I might want to spend a couple of £100 on some knitting needles. It's not hurting anyone. It's a bit the same. It's a bit the same. Well, I don't know.
Talked up nice about into knitting.
But
Hello and welcome to
it's the
Misha's
same
knitting
as
section.
anyone's hobby, isn't it? But some people really don't understand it, do they?
I remember you seeing on your Instagram that you got that guy who brought the model Porsche in,
Oh yeah.
and you replicated it into the real thing.
Yeah.
And that was really smart. So we got, the 1/18 scale cars, and it had a design on it.
Was it the GT3?
GT3 words,
Yeah.
I think. And the guy had a real white one, didn't he? That he brought it into yourself, and it looked exactly the same, both of them side by side. That was pretty cool.
And he wanted to take that to Le Mans and drove around their track for a few months. And then he came back and then he's like, right, I want to take it back again now. But I mean, he came in just with this toy car. He's like, can you replicate this on a bigger scale? No artwork whatsoever, just this toy car.
Don't give me ideas.
And I'm like, yeah, we'll give it a go. But I mean, that's the thing as well. I mean, we're going back to, the internet presence and having social media and all the rest of it. Well, I was off the radar for years. I mean, bear in mind, I've been in the industry now for almost 17 years. And prior to that, it was just a franchise website, whereas I even stopped answering phone calls because I didn't want people coming in, just like off the street. Because then, half of them are just going to stand there and talk, and then you'll never see them again, but then I've got things to do. So it was backing up my day. So I thought, right, let me just take a step back from like all social media, all kind of marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when you do that as well, you don't really care too much about what other people think. And I think separating yourself from it separating myself from it was a massive, massive achievement for me to do anyway. Because then I didn't have anybody to answer to, didn't have anybody coming back to me saying, you did this for somebody else, I saw it and it's a rubbish rap. All these keyboard warriors. Because they couldn't get to me anyway.
Yeah, if it's not there, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you actually open the door, I've not had anything like you've said about customers, we can do this, you can do that. But I have had people say, they said they can do it cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's fine, but it's not worth my time to do it for their price.
Yeah.
So, carry on.
Yeah.
You've got a new system, haven't you, now, where you just delete all comments.
Yeah.
As soon as someone comments, you just delete
use
it.
as a filter,
Yeah.
to get rid of idiots, basically. The trolls, you just use, anybody starts putting anything bad on, just block them straight away.
It's actually a thing in your settings where you can block certain words being put in your comments. So if you can block the word cheaper, just get rid of them all for you.
I actually put a post on this morning, was it this afternoon, and it was on the lines of, basically, I can do it in 15 minutes, but that's only because I've been doing it for so long, and if you want me to do it cheaper within that 15 minutes, I'll just sit inside and you can go outside for a bit and I'll just pretend that I'm doing something. It's just like the amount of skill I've created in order to do it within those 15 minutes, that's what you're paying for. And the quality at the same time. You can pay for something to be fast and cheap, and that's exactly what it'll be, fast and cheap. Or you can pay for quality and then get what you pay for. I mean, it's with everything in life, I think. It's like with your valets, you've got a price range, haven't you, as to what you can get for what amount of price. And it's exactly the same. You're not going to spend 4 hours on a car that you're going to charge an hour's job for, are you? Or that they're only willing to pay an hour's work for. They might as well go to Joe Bloggs down the road and you can do.
You're buying time, aren't you?
Of course you
That's
are.
what your main thing is. After your overheads, it's your time. Is your main thing.
It's a new culture now, isn't it? Trying to get the cheapest prices.
I know, for the best deal, for best quality.
Everyone's trying to chase it, and it's not worth it all the time, is it? I wonder where that's come from. Is it with the new cost of living? Is it trying to get things done now? Everyone wants something now. Everything's available at the click of a button these days, isn't it? So, it's tricky. And
I'm going to jump in on the cost of living topic.
Go on.
You know how electric's costing a fortune now? How are people going to run these electric cars?
I did think that. I did think that at one point. But then obviously that's why they've put it up.
They've put everything up so much. Like, you're going to plug this car in, your electric bill's just going to be like £300 a month.
Do you remember
More
when it
than
was
already
free?
was.
Do you remember when it was free?
To charge your electric vehicles, yeah.
That was all scam, wasn't it?
It was
That
a
was all
scam.
false sense of security.
Buy this electric car, you can charge it for free. Now
Yeah,
it's
it
going to
was
cost you a
free when
mortgage.
it first came out.
Yeah.
A
That's
couple
when
of places did it for
You
You
free.
used to have to plug it into your neighbour's electricity.
Yeah.
Just run a cheeky cable through their front door, not yours.
But yeah, it's just, that's going up in price. But yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
good point, actually.
What's your opinions on electric vehicles?
You know my opinion.
We know the
Vehicles.
little speakers in the exhaust make them sound like a petrol car. We all know how that goes.
I mean, it's a tricky subject, isn't it? There's a lot of controversy around electric cars.
But to be fair though, there are petrol and diesel cars that have the speakers
Yeah,
and the
there
exhaust
are.
pipes.
Like the diesel S Audis, they've got them in the exhaust as well.
Yeah, there's a few Rangers as well
Yes.
that have come out with them.
Range Rovers.
No Rangers, like the Ford Ranger.
Oh, the Ford Rangers, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. The other thing that gets me as well is they're trying to shift to this whole electric vehicle initiative, but they're not making it, they're not making it affordable. So it's like a brand new electric car, you're looking at 40 grand. You can go down the road and buy a Nissan Micra from 1999 for what, 300 quid. You know what I mean? They're not making it affordable. I understand that it's not going to be £300. It's a production vehicle. It costs them a lot to make, but it doesn't cost them £40,000 to make that vehicle. So I feel like they're saying like, oh, we're bringing the costs down. You can run this vehicle, but the vehicle costs so much, and then it's going to cost so much on top to run it. And then, when they break down, they're bringing out cars with diesel generators to start them again. It's completely pointless, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The batteries, you have to get them changed. You rent the battery, you never own it. In my head, I can't. It doesn't work.
And the disposal.
well that's it. The problem is as well, it's what I don't get is how much lithium is actually in the world.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's going to run out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then all the things that we normally power, like our watches, our batteries, all the other stuff, they need lithium too. If we put them all into the cars, then what are we going to do?
I
Well,
mean,
there was a
what's
guy,
the
wasn't there, who
next?
actually invented a car that ran just on water.
Yeah.
And
And
he
he sort of
mysteriously disappeared, didn't he? Well, this is years ago. So the technology is out there.
Yeah.
It's just that we're being, given little bits.
It'll never be affordable. Again, it was up until, I'd say a couple of years ago. It was affordable to run whatever car you wanted on a normal wage. And then, obviously, everything got expensive. Everything doubled in price. Ridiculous.
Yeah, the infrastructure's not there yet anyway, especially for electric cars.
No.
I took a hybrid down to London and I thought I was falling asleep, so I pulled over at the services and I thought, I'll just plug it in for a bit and have a nap. And then pulled up next to this port, tried to plug it in, and none of the plugs fit. So I couldn't even charge it. So then anyway, put some fuel in it and got to London, checked into the hotel and everything, went downstairs again, nipped out, come back, and then there's a little port. So I've gone to plug it in and it was out of order. And throughout the whole hotel there was only one port and that was out of order. Now if that was fully electric car, I'd just been stranded.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you supposed to make it work if they can't even do the simple things like have enough ports in these places that we're supposed to be staying in?
Does anyone know what happens if you run out of battery in an electric
It just
car?
dies.
Like, is there any repercussion for that by the police or anything? Or, if you break down on a
I'm
motorway,
not
for
too
example.
sure actually. But
Well,
I have
was saying
been
before,
told.
Diesel generator. You have to come and start it again. You have to charge
Yeah.
it. So it makes it completely pointless. The emissions are coming to fiction.
I've seen a diesel generator charging up an electric bobcat.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, on a building site. So they've been using this tractor all day, and then in the evening they take it over to the diesel generator to charge it. And it's like, what's the point in that?
It does defeat the object a little
Yeah.
bit, doesn't it?
It's very, this is what we're doing. We're just going to make it look like we're using electric, and we'll just come and fix it with this.
And what do you think to road safety with electric cars? Because, you can't hear them. I know we've got little speakers and stuff in them, but
They make that little
yeah.
UFO noise.
Do you not think it's safer having a noisy exhaust?
I feel like it.
You can hear us coming.
I feel like it. There's so many people that would probably disagree with us on that, but yeah, I feel like it is. You can hear us coming. You know, you come down the road. Like when you come to my house, I can.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. You're not even on the street yet, and my grandma goes, "Misha's here."
I think there are a lot of them on the road though now to prove that the safety of them isn't that bad. There is a lot of Teslas and other models out there that are rocking around. And
Yeah.
you
I
can't
mean,
hear
they
'em.
will have to change the Green Cross code. I mean, with the kids in school, when I was in school, it was like, what was it, stop, look and listen.
Yeah.
No, you
Stop,
can't hear
look.
it anyway, so you just have to depend on your eyes.
Stop, look, and pray.
Yeah.
Change it to that.
Yeah, because they're going to stop selling them, aren't they? Like
We're trying to
all
stop,
petrol and
yeah,
diesel engines.
anything
So
combustion wise.
I know I'm going to hold on to mine.
Oh, I've got mine in the
It's
death
getting
grip.
saved.
You're not having it.
Do you think they'll actually stop production though? Do you think it'll actually happen?
I don't think they can really, because obviously, I mean, unless these HGVs turn to hydrogen, I don't think it's possible. You know, there's the amount of cargo that's carried all around the world, all around the country, up and down, every single day, every minute of every day. I mean, how many lorries do you see on the motorway? You know, and imagine just taking those off the motorway, how are they going to replace them all? Yeah. And again, it comes back to the lithium. Is there enough batteries in the world to do that?
Yeah. And I did see that thing about the guy who ran the car off the water. And he did disappear, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was his brother who's come out saying it was all very dodgy.
Yeah. And the car got stolen as well from his garage.
Oh, it did,
Wow.
did it?
Yeah, so the prototype car that he'd made, that disappeared, and no one's been able to find it either.
I was just going to say, I bet that's never been seen
So,
again.
I mean, how true this is, it's
Yeah.
documented,
Yeah.
but, I mean, how documented and how true it is, I do not know, but the evidence is out there if you go looking for it.
It's the internet. Everything's true.
Everything you read on the internet is true.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the Fiesta? Like, it's going to be discontinued after 2023, I think they said.
I've had to.
You have?
Worst cars I've ever had. No, they are such a staple car. Like, I feel like everybody knows the Fiesta. It's been around for so long, like 1975, I think they first came out. And it's literally like, you've seen them on the road ever since then. So for them to discontinue it, it's a big thing for the car world, especially when you've seen a lot of modified cars, the majority of them being Fiestas. Like, you do see a lot of modified Fiestas. Like, you'll have seen them at shows everywhere, and every time they drive in, we're like, Fiesta, another Fiesta. You know, they come piling in. You see a lot of modified Fiestas, and even though they have taken a lot of scrutiny over the years, they have been a staple car for people to modify, and they've been very, very popular with, you know, the young generation for the STs and the different variants, like the Focus RSs. Ford's been popular for its performance cars. So for them to see them discontinue the Fiesta is obviously quite a big move, but again, generalising towards the whole.
Henry, did you see the age thing there? What did he miss out? So he said mentioned STs and the others.
The Escorts, the RSs.
No, the Fiesta line. The
Yeah.
XR2.
The XR2.
How could you forget the XR2?
The XR2. And the
I'm
XR2i.
going to be home-drawn and
Yeah.
quartered for forgetting
I
it.
know.
Does anybody know the difference between the XR2 and the XR2i?
Don't look at me.
Educate us.
Google.
I don't do old cars. I'll pull my hands up and say I don't do old
Is
cars.
it the difference in the injection or something?
Yeah, it was
In
one
how it
injected.
is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm
One
sure it
long.
was, yeah.
Different brake horsepower, I guess.
Not my thing.
So
Pepper
many,
pot alloys.
yeah, so many different kind of models that have come out though. Like it's just crazy they've been going so long, and the fact that it's won so many awards with being, you know, the most affordable hatchback, you know, through so many years. No wonder it's had such a staple on, you know, what choice people make when they're getting the first car. There's been a lot of people's first cars.
I think it wasn't it voted one of the safest cars as well at one point.
Yeah, I believe so. It's won a lot of awards, you know. It's crazy to think that it's going to go. But, I mean, what's
What are they going to
next?
replace it with? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, are they going to replace it?
And will
It's just
Ford
gonna leave a
replace it, or
void.
will another manufacturer replace it?
There's been
Yeah, that's
That's
a
a long-
that's a biggie.
That's a long time, isn't it? 2009 to 2020 to be the best-selling car.
4.8 million of them as well have been sold since 1975. That's a lot of tin of beans out there, right?
So it's
The way that
not-
I look at it as well is like the older generation, like my grandma and granddad, the only cars that they've ever owned have been Fords. So since the Fiesta came out, they've only ever had Fiestas. So I look at my grandma now and I'm like, bless you, what are you going to drive now? Because she doesn't know how to drive anything else. She can't. Genuinely, she's terrified of driving anything but a Fiesta. She
That's
won't get in
going to
my
be
car.
me with the sleekers.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even like there've been a decrease in sales or anything, is it?
No.
So I'll have to find out what the reason is. Cause
Who at Ford has turned round and gone, that is it, it's the end of the Fiesta.
Null and void.
They must have something going on. There must be something that's going to be coming in the pipeline.
unless
There's
they're
gonna be
moving
a
towards.
reason to end that. But they ended the Sierra, they ended the Granada, they ended, you know, the Capri. So maybe it's the Fiesta's time. The Escort went.
Maybe they just like the drama.
Yeah,
Just like-
maybe
they're just like
Yeah.
that. Oh, no, we're just going to take this away from you now. You're not having this anymore.
Well, that's what I was about to say, but I was scared you're going to cut.
Yeah, I'm
Fiesta E.
surprised
Yeah.
they didn't turn it into an electric version because everyone's gone that way, haven't they? They're all chasing the electric dream, aren't they? So
Imagine.
And they brought
Fiesta
the-
ST hybrid.
They brought the KA
surprised.
back.
Yeah, they did.
You know,
A
the
pointless
KA 's
car.
back.
An absolutely
Puma.
pointless car.
The Puma's back.
The Puma was okay. Okay-ish to look at for a while. And then they started doing, stupid things with the body shape and all the rest of it. And then it became... In fact, my sister had a Puma for her first car. And I used to love it because then I didn't have my licence. And she'd let me drive it with her. And then I'd borrow it every now and then. Obviously, only up the road and down the road and, back again. But I loved it. But it was definitely a female car because my feet were too big.
Yeah.
The pedals were so tight together.
Yeah.
But I did love the car, the shape of it and everything, the Puma.
Well, the thing that gets me is it's gone from a small little sporty, almost coupe type vehicle. It's now off the floor. It's like a crossover. It's like a mini SUV. It's gone from down here to up here.
Yeah.
It's become a little family car.
Well, yeah, it's no longer a Fiesta, is it really, when you think about it?
No, I mean the Pumas. Like the Pumas
the
have gone
Pumas,
from the
yeah.
floor with a little
Big,
spoiler
yeah.
on the back. They've gone to like a Mini 4 before. It's gone from down here to up here and it's become a family car. It's really weird how cars change over the generations. Mustang, yeah, they've gone to the marquee, haven't they?
Like the electric Mustang.
I'm not a fan. I must admit.
Well,
Anything.
Korey, if you had to have any electric car, because that's all there was, what would you have?
Plaid.
A what?
Have to be a Tesla.
Tesla.
Model S Plaid. Have to be. If money wasn't an object, someone else was paying for it. I'm not paying for it, but someone else can pay for it. I'd have a Plaid.
Talk to a Tesla. Yeah. What would you have, Henry?
I'm thinking about it now, to be honest, because I've seen quite a few nice ones, but it would probably have to be the Tesla because they are the leading electric brand anyway.
Yeah,
And
X-Ray,
I do love the X. Yeah. Even though the doors...
What did he just say?
What was that one?
Yeah, I have to change. Am I allowed to change my thing?
The Taycan.
The Taycan.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice. But it's just the range that I worry about. I have, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I did some, I can't even say, it wasn't my cup of tea, but we did some Tron lines on the Taycan when it first came out. And that was like from Bolton Porsche. And there are no natural lines to do Tron lines on, so we had to create our own. And it was like, okay, should we stop now? Because you can go too much, can't you, at the end of the day? And then when we stopped, we're like, yeah, that's definitely enough. I'm like, oh, can we do the wheels as well? Like, the wheels? I'm like, okay.
That's brave.
But yeah, and the Tron lines were red. So red reflective on a black car. It does look good for like social media purposes and, advertising purposes, but to be driving it every single day, again, it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
What would you have?
I don't know if I can go electric.
Well, if you had to.
You have
If
to.
I, oh,
No choice.
No
can I not
choice.
go hybrid?
No.
No.
Full electric has
Yeah.
to be.
Go for the Tamula.
It has to be a microwave.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably have to go for a Tesla again.
Mm.
Just, I feel like they were the first ones on the scene, and they've had more time to kind of develop their models
Could
as
see you in a
well.
Renault Zoe, to be honest.
Really? Really?
Renault Zoe.
No, I'll be in a sleeker till I die, I think. I'm
The
not letting it
an electric
happen.
one.
Yeah. Let's put some batteries in the sleeker, and then I'll
Get
be
some
happy.
Duracells.
I think I did an iX last week, and that's a really nice electric car, fully
Yeah.
electric
BMW.
BMW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love them. I really do like them.
Do you know what I think really fell off? i3. Have you seen the i3s?
Yeah.
They're the ones that look like a
Yeah.
terrified ladybird.
Yeah.
I think
Just the
every
front
panel
end.
on it is plastic, isn't it? And it's just like tin pan.
They did I don't know, but I did a video on my TikTok showing cars and I was like, who approved these from the factory? Like, who looked at that and went, yeah. I can't. They just look squashed. It looks like a squashed iX to me.
But you've got to go back to like the Fiat Multiplier and other ones.
That
like
was in the
that.
video
I
too.
knew that was
Do you know what
was
I
in the
coming.
mean?
video
Yeah,
too.
'cause I hate that car. I hate the Fiat Multiplier. Who sat there in Fiat and went, "This is mint. This is brilliant." Or was it like, "It's Friday night, lads. We need to have a design on the table. Pretty quick for Monday morning. There it is.
Another one, Daewoo Matiz.
Oh,
Don't know who approved that.
yeah, it's still not as bad as the Multipla.
I can agree with you on the multiple. Weren't they like a 7-seater? Well, didn't they have like they had a couple of extra seats inside them or something? Cause
Yeah, I think they've got a bench in the front.
Because someone on one of my videos was like, "Oh yeah, but it's practical," and I'm like, "I don't care if it's practical. It's horrible."
We're going to put the back seat in the front, and we're going to move the headlights to the top of the windscreen. And then we're going to do it. It's like they just had the Christmas party and just went, "Quick, design something quick." Or give it Alan from toilet cleaning.
Give it Alan for toilet cleaning.
I mean, to be fair, Tesla do have its problems as well, even though it's been around the longest.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
The X, I don't think I've had one in where I haven't seen damage on the rear doors, you know, because they open like the suicide effect and go straight up. And it's supposed to have like a mechanism where it senses what's there and then goes up according. But I've not seen one that's not got damage where it's hit a wall or hit something before it's gone up.
Also
So,
not
I mean,
foolproof.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think any electrical vehicle is.
Still got things they need to work out, I think, because it's still quite. I wouldn't say new because they've been with us for a couple of years now, but like they're still working out the finicky bits.
How are they going to make planes electric?
Electric planes.
That scares me.
That's terrifying.
That really scares
I think
me.
I'll start sailing after when they start making planes,
I'll start
especially for
walking.
about 10 years.
They have to have a certain type of fuel on planes, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's very, very expensive, very premium.
Yeah. It's
And
a
we
lot.
wonder how do they even run it on that? Because it's like, I think I looked at the figures once, and it was just extortionate. And then you think like EasyJet and stuff are, you know, they're charging like 60 quid for a flight to Spain. It's like, how are you doing it? But you know, it's the same thing with if it becomes electric, like.
Everything will be more expensive again. You'll be getting a flight to Spain and it'll be $4,000. Electric plane. The energy bill.
Scary.
Let me just put my plane on charge. There's more chargers than petrol stations, but there's more petrol cars.
Are they counting that as individual charges?
Yeah, individual.
That's another thing as well, because obviously you're going to have a specific home in order to charge the vehicle outside your house.
Yeah.
I mean, say you lived on like a terraced row, now everybody's going to have to walk past your cable if you're plugging your car in. So I think it's going to be so difficult for people to actually own an electric vehicle who doesn't have their own drive.
Because when you think about it, there's the houses that are set back from the road. Like where I used to live, there was houses at the bottom. I used to live like up on top of a hill, and the houses were up there. So it's like there's no driveway, there's nowhere to put the car. So it's all the way down at the bottom of the hill where there's like at least 20 feet between you and the house. How does the charging cable work? Someone's just going to run off.
Exactly, yeah.
Someone's just going to go, that's mine.
Yeah, even though obviously whilst it's charging, you can't unplug it.
Yeah.
You have to completely turn it off, and then it's got like a lapse time, and then you can pull it out. But even still, you know, it's a massive faff, isn't it? It's like my house now. Okay, my garage is at the back, so if I wanted to charge mine out the back, then I could do. But the house next door, they don't have a garage, so they would have to charge theirs and run the cable across the street. It's obviously a tripping hazard anyway, and there'll be thousands of lawsuits going on.
Exactly.
Or even, you know, you can get some idiot just coming over and just cutting the wire.
Yeah.
You know, it's not feasible at all. Not for everybody anyway.
So this podcast has been turned into an electric car podcast.
Yeah.
I just have visions in my head. Sorry, I almost think we need to do a reenactment of that. If someone just taking some garden shears,
Yeah, just go.
So, Korey, do you want to tell us a little bit about, you know, how you've got into the car scene with work? Like, have you done any kind of experience within work to do with the car scene? And how's it led to
I've
here?
worked in cars before. I've done. I did car sales. I was a manager for an exotic car company. Used to sell Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens, anything you can name. That was quite fun. That was one I didn't mind. And then I used to work for another company, doing the photography and the videos of cars. You know, when you get an interest in a car, you'll probably get a video sent back of you walking around it and stuff like that. I used to do that. That company wasn't the best. Had a bit of a tough time there. They didn't seem to like the openness and the way that I was.
You'll have to elaborate a bit now. You can't just leave it there.
It was mainly just people within the company not liking me as a whole. It was like they took an instant dislike to me, came up with this plan to get rid of me, and ultimately it actually worked. I ended up losing my job there through no fault of my own.
And what did they say? What was their reason?
They'd basically come up with this story that I'd come on to them, that I fancied them.
What?
Bear in mind, this man was old enough to be my granddad. It's like I had, obviously, at the time I had my fella at home.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not interested in you. You're literally old enough to be my granddad. So I had to sit down with my manager, have a whole conversation about that. But I had a big problem with him as well, with the way that he'd spoken to me, because he spoke to me about it all in front of a load of customers, in front of other people that worked there. It was just a big shambles, really, and it was just like an overall setup to, I think, either make me lose my job, but if that wasn't successful, embarrass me enough to make me leave. But yeah, that was my experience working in the car industry. It wasn't a great one.
No.
But yeah, I've moved on from that, doing my own thing now, and I'll never work for anyone else again.
So did you have anyone kind of have your back during that whole experience, or did you feel like you were kind of alone with that?
Do you know what? Now that you say it, and I look back at it, there was only a couple of people that had my back that worked there, but the main one, shock horror, was the women.
Yeah.
The women always had my back that worked there. There was a couple of the guys that worked there that were on board with it as well. Like I'd literally, there was ways and means that I'd gone out of my way to prove myself. You know, to say like, didn't happen, like check the cameras, check this, that, the other. But yeah, it just exploded into something it didn't need to be. I put in, you know, like they'd put in obviously a grievance about me. I got suspended. Came back. I put in a counter grievance against them. That just got brushed under the rug as if it didn't happen. And obviously, when a company uses their own lawyers and their own internal investigations company to investigate something, everything that you say is going to be just brushed under a rug, and it didn't happen, and we'll just let you go quietly. And ultimately, the reason I didn't end up suing that company was because I moved into the other job at the dealership where I was a manager, which that one was actually okay, surprisingly. I didn't mind that one as much.
I mean, within the car scene, you know, people, especially in sales, you know, they can be quite competitive.
Yeah, it can be.
Do you think it was anything to do with that, or?
I wasn't there for long enough to even gauge whether it would be a competitive thing or whether it was just a general hatred, shall we say. People just tended to take an instant disliking to me in places like that because, well, like I say, it was the mechanics, like the mechanic side of the thing. They were working in the service bays and they were the mechanics at the place, so they're all walking around with a, you know, manly, all in a big group of men downstairs constantly 24/7. It was just a very uncomfortable situation. Like, I never felt comfortable to go into that area because it was obviously like, that was a whole separate area, but I had to go in there sometimes. If the car wasn't ready, I had to go in and check and see why cars weren't ready and what was going on. And it was just like, if there was ever a point where I had to go into that area, I'd always send someone else to do it. I never went in there because of how uncomfortable I felt.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a case of they just took an instant disliking to me, and I probably took an instant disliking to them as well.
The dealership world I worked in for a long time, and it's always been, and I've found it more and more so towards the end of working there, and I don't work at dealerships anymore, I cannot do it. It's so toxic from every department. You know, the mechanic side of stuff I always found not as bad, but being valeters in the dealership world, we were like the bottom of the barrel. You know, I always saw that. The way that these dealerships, modern dealerships work now, it's all numbers driven. Literally, you are a number. It's all about numbers. It's about how many cars they sell. And I know that is business, but I've seen a lot of mental health and people going through mental health within these dealerships from all different departments. The turnover of staff in a modern dealership today is like unbelievable. They're always looking for new staff because it's just pressure from
Like
top
just
to
got a
bottom.
revolving door on the front, in, out,
It has.
in, out.
You know, one thing I have probably never seen in the dealerships I've worked with is I've worked with a few gay people in the dealerships, and I never really saw any. Not saying it didn't happen to yourself, but I never saw that side. But I do understand where you're coming from, where, you know, there's certain departments and certain individual dealerships as well. I've got some horror stories which we'll go later in the Talked Up series. But it's just not a nice environment in the first place to work in. It's not, you know, very toxic. So
And when you dig deep, they'll do anything they can to sell you a car. Dig deep enough.
Like a lot of the automotive industry, it can be quite toxic and competitive and stuff like that. So it is a difficult industry to be in sometimes. I know that you've had experience with having different relatives being quite competitive with yourself and stuff like that.
It is a competitive industry. Like I say, it's a very fast-moving industry. Dog eat dog sometimes. Some dealerships are wonderful. The smaller ones especially, I find, where you've got a small group of people who've been there a while, they become a little bit of a community themselves. But then the bigger dealerships, it's all about the men in suits, turning over numbers. That's it. They don't care. And then you never see the same person in the big dealerships there for long. Not even the top dogs. No. The top dogs get turfed out. I've seen big bosses in dealerships being turfed out because of shock horror stories. Whether they're fabricated, or whether it's true. It's just the dealership world is just.
It's toxic.
Not
it's very,
a
very
good.
toxic.
It's not somewhere I would recommend. I wouldn't certainly have my kids working in a dealership. No. Whether the valeting to salesmen to sales managers and that. Don't get me wrong, the money's good.
Yeah.
It can be good, but the pressure and the lifestyle. The hours and the amount of divorced men I've seen working through these places. You
don't have any time to yourself working in dealerships. I was there 1 week 6 days, and the week after it'd be 5, so it'd be 6-5, 6-5, 6-5. I literally had 1 or 2 days off a week, which was fair enough. But it's like on those 6-day weeks, that 1 day that you have off is literally just recovering from doing 10-hour days for the whole 6 days, so doing 60 hours a week. Chaos.
But there are a couple of dealerships out there that are really good. There's a couple of brands that I've worked with. The one we're working with now, and they're really good in the way they look after the staff and their staff retention. You can see it in the staff retention. You can see it in the diversity of people who are working there.
When they work with their staff and work with the staff's needs, you see a very, very good success rate. When they work against the staff and they put out there that they're not, very open to people being different. Like, I've worked at dealerships where they wanted me to take all my piercings out. I've worked at dealerships where they've wanted me to hide my tattoos, dye my hair back a different colour, this, that and the other. And it's like, that isn't the generation of today. Like, the generation of today, we're all stupid like me. They went and got stuff put in the face at 15. They got tattoos at 16, which shouldn't have really happened, but it did. So there's people like me that have tattoos, piercings, different coloured hair. Like, I know my hair's blonde at the minute, but I've had it blue, pink, purple, they don't fit in. And it's like, when these dealerships are run by people that are probably grown up in a comforted household where they've not had to had the uncertainty of viewing people like me the whole life, and I'm a very scary thing to them. It's like, so when I was working at that dealership where I was selling exotic cars, the clientele was obviously very, shall we say, upmarket, and they don't want to walk in and see someone like me selling them a car apparently, or managing the finances upstairs. And even though I never really saw them, even though I was sat upstairs, I still had to be in the suit. I had to have all see-through piercings in everywhere, and the majority of them taken out. My hair at the time, I wasn't allowed to do anything with it. I had to have it cut a certain way. Wasn't allowed to have anything lower than a 2. It's ridiculous. They have so many rules and regulations on how you have to look, and I don't think that represents companies very well. I think if you walked into a place and they had more colour and they had more diversity, I'd walk in and be like, do you know what, I'm going to buy a car from here, just because they're nice people and they're accepting, and I can walk in here and feel like, do you know what, there's someone like me. But I walk into places and you don't see it. You never, ever, ever see it anymore, because they get pushed out and made uncomfortable, and the way that the companies are and the way that they push staff around, and like you say, the turnover that they have. You can walk in one day and see someone, and the day after they're not there. So it's just crazy to think that there's people out there that might have experienced the same thing as me, and that probably could be going through it at the minute. Yeah,
well, I can guarantee there is, and he's a straight guy, and he's been there for years, and it was almost like it was a clique.
Yeah.
And he was ostracised, and he didn't feel like he was valued anymore.
Yeah.
So ultimately, they did the same, one complaint after the other.
Yeah.
And he's constantly defending himself, and then he felt like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because once they've made their mind up, you do feel ostracised, and then you don't feel confident going into work, don't feel confident selling, feel confident speaking to the customers because everybody's staring at you and watching the way you do it, waiting for you to mess up. So they've got something else to write about.
It's all very
And then
strategic.
he just walked away and he said that it was the best thing he could have done.
I felt a massive weight off my shoulder as soon as I walked out of there. I was happy, I was done, I had myself back. I didn't have to conform to the way that like they wanted me to act or be, or I just walked out and I was like, do you know what? I've worked in car sales twice now, it's not for me. And then I sat down for myself for a little bit and I was like, do you know what? I don't want to work for anyone else ever. So, like I say, I started up, now I work for myself and I'll never work for anyone else again.
Do you never think you'll do anything to do with automotive ever again? In
Not for
regards to a
work, no.
career? No.
Not for work, no. I don't think I could. Well, it depends. It depends who's in charge. If I'm in charge, of course.
Yeah, I suppose it depends who you surround yourself with as well, I suppose.
Yeah, like I say, if there was someone that was nice enough and, that I knew, say if any of us lot, I'd work for anyone in here, that's not a problem because I know that everyone in here doesn't have an issue.
Right, get him a brush then. You have to take your piercings out though and dye your hair.
No, I quit. But no, it's like when people are accepting and open and, I can tell with the amount of job interviews that I've been to after doing those and stuff, like, I can sit down in an interview and I can know whether someone's uncomfortable with me or not immediately. And if they are, even if they offered me the job, I won't take it. And it's like, I needed to take a step back and decide with myself, like, do I need to try and find somewhere where I can surround myself with good people that are accepting, or do I just go off on my own for a bit and build my own thing? And it just ended up ultimately, I didn't have the trust in people yet. So I was like, I'm going to be on my own for a bit.
And it just shows the toxicity in the car trade, the car dealership trade, when you're having to think like that. When there's other, you go to furniture places like IKEA now and you see staff there with earrings and tattoos and everything like that, and that's a massive company, And then you just look at Virgin, what they've just been doing with their uniforms and all that kind of stuff, and it shows they're changing with the times, but some of these car dealerships are just not. And this is not the brands, by the way. Some of the brands I've worked with, I've just been working with Land Rover at Chatsworth House, and they were brilliant. This is the dealerships. This is dealership level, not the actual brands.
Yeah.
Some of the brands are really coming through, with bright, colourful cars and people, and they're using them in their adverts and everything. For this then to fall back to the dealership level, where they're so old, old regime of what they do.
It doesn't make it down the chain to the dealerships, that's the problem.
Yes.
You need to find a way to strategically get it down that chain and into the dealerships to make other people comfortable. Yeah. It'd be nice to see some dealerships include some more out there cars and people, just to, make everybody feel welcome and make everybody feel like they've got, a place in there as a customer or as an employee.
Yeah, it's strange actually seeing it from the other side, because obviously I deal with dealerships as well, but I mean obviously the top end dealerships, and from the outside looking in, it looks like it's working quite well. I mean there is a diverse kind of staff membership and anything, but it doesn't look like obviously there's going to be cutthroat,
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make the sale, but they seem like they help each other.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to attack one another and make you feel away so you don't work as confidently as you could do.
The other thing that I've seen while I was there is they help each other as long as you have something that will benefit them.
Yeah.
So if you make more sales, they'll look at you and think, oh, well, they've made too many sales for that week, so I might get a handover off them, and then that becomes mine. They look at you, they're like vultures. It literally is, it's like a vulture's nest. They look at it and they go, they've made 6 sales today. They're only working 5 days this week, and I know that they've got things that they need to do, so they'll have a handover on each day, and then they'll have one that they can't do. So they'll look at it and they'll go, that's my commission now. You know what I mean? They'll take that from you, and you have no option but to hand it over because you don't have the time for it. So they'll only come and help you or come and speak to you if it benefits them, in a way. It's very, very, very toxic. So from the outside, it's very hidden, but once you've been in there, you see it for what it is. It's very, very, very toxic. And like you say, it is everybody fighting to make every single sale. Even if it's not their sale, they will fight for a way to make it their sale.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, in that instance, I can relate because I used to work in sales. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, both telesales and sports stores. And they were commission-based. So it was like cat eat cat, do you know what I mean? And cat eat dog, whatever the saying is. But it was bad, you know, where, you know, you'd get people like, you'd pass it, your item to the till, and then if you weren't looking, they'd put their number in and put it through on their number.
Yeah.
And then the amount of cat fights that happened because of it. And I just used to think, why? You know, it's
People just
not worth it.
Can I just go back to the cat eat dog comment? What's cat eat dog?
Are you not seen a big cat eating a little dog?
It's dog eat
Where did dog eat dog? Unless it's a lion.
It's a cat eat dog.
I might just swear, so you have to cut that bit out.
Did you ever find, like, throughout your whole experience, did you ever kind of change your perception on cars whilst working in the car industry? Because I know, like, a lot of the time, it's when you're doing it day in, day out, I don't know if it's different for you guys, but, like, you know, you find mechanics and they absolutely, when they get into, you know, becoming a mechanic, they love working on cars. That passion is so there. But then, you know, if that continues, they don't want to work on their own car.
Yeah.
Would you clean your own car now? Would you wrap your own car now, Henry?
I'm still waiting to do that.
Like, did it ever have an effect on you, Korey?
I'd say it did, yeah, because obviously you're looking at cars all day, every day. Like if you're in car sales, you're in and out of cars all day. And with both jobs that I've done, they've both been about, like, so the first job that I did, like I say, was taking the photos and the videos. So it was about the spec of the vehicle, constantly walking around looking at things that the vehicle has and stuff like that. So when you're modifying cars, you're constantly looking what a car doesn't have. So when you sat in cars all day, like at the time I had my BMW, so I was sitting in other BMWs that had everything that mine didn't have. So it's like I'm sat in there and I'm like, I get back in my own car at the end of the day and I'd be like, I don't want it anymore. It doesn't have the heated seats. It doesn't have the doesn't have everything that I want. It doesn't have the panoramic roof. It doesn't, you know, it was very tiring to come out of a day constantly looking at cars and what they have and what they don't have, to get back in your own car and still be in that mindset of what does it have and what does it not have, because you just make yourself feel like an idiot for buying that car because it didn't have everything on it. But itself, in a sense, you'd leave work and be tired of cars. So it's like I'd get home, and I don't know if you noticed while I was working there, because obviously we were still friends while I worked there. Did you notice that I didn't really come out as much?
No, you didn't.
I genuinely didn't leave the house because I was sick to death of seeing cars.
Yeah,
It
and I
was
just
like
put
I'd
it down
finished
to you
work,
working so hard.
Yeah, well, that was probably a part of it as well. But it was genuinely, I'd have people message me and they'd be like, oh, my car's doing this. I'd ignore them. I don't care about your car right now. I've been looking at them for 10 hours today.
It can get like that when you're surrounded by something all day. Do you know, when I worked back in the chefing industry, it was the same with food. Sometimes it was just like surrounded by all this food, wonderful food.
I didn't know you were a chef when you cooked for us.
You'd go home and not eat.
Yeah, you do, because you just get you're surrounded by it. You do eat, obviously, otherwise you die. But you're just not interested in that, the makeup of doing it. Do you know? It was like, oh, something quick, please.
I've got so many chef friends that will finish work and go through the drive-through, or so many chef friends that will finish work, they'll go home and they'll make a pot noodle because they can't be bothered.
This is what you're saying about the cars. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that recently happened when we were working at the British Motor Show, brilliant show, absolutely amazing people and amazing vehicles. What did I do? I got a flight tracker on my phone and watching all the private jets because I was that bored of all the cars. I was sat in the car while we were on our break and I was watching all these private jets, seeing where they were coming in and going. I'm going, that was Seb, that was come from Dubai. This one's coming in from France. I wonder what it's got on it. And it was mad watching all like the Rolls Royces pull up to them. And then there was a yellow McLaren there one day and all the entourage. And then we saw one of the Royal Family's ones, didn't we? And he's like, oh my God, look at that Mustang and look at that and look at, you know, Supra over there. And I'm going, yeah, but look at this one landing. It looks exactly the same as every other one that's landing.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like, I nearly got into the automotive industry with sales, funnily enough.
Working for the same company.
Yeah, which you told me not to. You know, I was very,
Scared
very
you
close
off.
to it. Yeah, I was very, very close. Because I was at a point in my life where, you know, I've always worked like an office job, like on the computers all the time and that kind of side of things. But I've always wanted to get into the automotive industry. I've always been passionate about it. But that is one of my concerns. not wanting to do that. I wanted to get into sales or social media or, something along that lines. But then I thought, is my passion for Midnight Lancs going to kind of simmer out a little bit? I kind of differentiate myself with my job. It's completely different to automotive. I turn up in my car and they're all in the Audis, like the nice
Business spec
cars, and I'm there with my noisy old sleek and like. But it does differentiate me a little bit, and I am a bit thankful for that, because you do hear about these, these things. I would hate for my passion to kind of, that's one thing that I'm thankful for. You mentioned about your rap, Henry. So have you got a project that you've got in mind? How long's that been on the books?
You know what it is as well? I think for me, it's more of finding the time and the space in between the time. But then it's like even the cars we get in at the moment, you can have, all the top of the range vehicles in, but they're never in the unit long enough for me to actually enjoy them. So now they're just a project, and I can't wait to get it finished and out. Make sure the customer's happy, and that's it next. So it's not even like, when I first started, it was like, oh wow, there's a Rolls coming in, or this Cullinan, or I've got another Lambo coming in, this, that, and the other. And now it's just like, okay, they've all bolts and clips.
Yeah.
I'll just see it as what it is. Right, this has got to come off, that's got to come off, this got to come off. And they're just sections. So I don't have as much love for the vehicle while it's in the unit, as opposed to when I see it out on the road. Because I'm looking at it from another angle when it's with me.
We were talking, I don't know that it was you two, I was talking about doing, if you were to be told, if we were to do something, which we are going to have a chat about this at some point, go from Land's End to John O'Groats on a trip, what car would you go? And everybody were, at the time we were in, was Lambo, this. If you've drove a Lamborghini Aventador or something, you would not drive it from there to there.
No.
You can't sit in it. The car that I would drive is the black cab. The black cab that sat outside, because that thing is so comfy. It
is quite comfy, isn't it?
Put it in gear and it just goes, and you're just pattering it along in the thing. Big chair like this thing in it, and it's mad. But
I'd be in a Tiguan with the massage seats, me.
Yeah, Tiguan.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a Dawn for me, to be honest.
A Dawn?
Yeah, only because one of my good friends borrowed me his to take it to London.
Oh, I remember
and then,
seeing it,
before you see it, and then you were getting back into your car when you got back, and you're like, what the?
Yeah.
I did the same.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, just take it. Look, it's fine. I'm like, look, I don't really want it. I don't really want to drive a house to London, because to me that is a house. But to him it's just a piece of metal.
Yeah.
And when he explained that to me, I was like, okay, fair enough. So we took it, and it was just a great ride. I didn't almost fall asleep once, which I normally do when I'm doing long journeys, and I just enjoyed the smooth ride. And then you get back and you're like, okay, right now I've got to jump into my E5. And the steering wheel feels thick.
Yeah.
It's got an automatic box, so it's still there, but just the luxuries, go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
But then for me, I think it worked the opposite way, because I saw what I want and I've driven what I want one day.
Yeah.
And that just gives me more reason to work for that.
Yeah.
As opposed to it just turns you off for a bit.
Yeah.
So again, it's perception, isn't it? And how you look at things.
The worst part for me was getting out of all the automatics, like the Lambos, the RS5s, getting back in a manual diesel.
Well, that's the thing, I'd never go back.
Try.
I don't think, unless it's a sport car, like a proper, beefy, like, say, a Mustang. If it was a Mustang, then it would have to be manual.
Yeah.
But anything else, I think, automatic all day long.
I love just getting back in my Peugeot 306. I do. I've got the 6 Series and I've got the 3 Series there, and it's like that 306 because it was my first car, and it just drives so well. And going back to what you were just saying about prejudices with cars, when there's this image of the, you were saying as well with the sleekers and stuff, when you would turn up at a job in the sleeker.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really matter, should it? It's only the same as anything else. It's, people have said to me, oh, look at that shitty old Peugeot, but you don't know what that Peugeot actually means, or feels like, or anything like that. We are blessed, a lot of us here, to drive, like we have been in the industry, to drive some of the most wonderful cars out there, the expensive cars and that. But you know what? Sometimes you wouldn't want to actually own them.
Well, no, obviously, there are bills that come with owning them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's just some things like having your first car and having the experience of being able to drive it each day and stuff like that is just, I think that's pretty special, do you know? And that's why I love that thing out there. We just nipped to a local burger place.
See, the thing is though, I've never felt as comfortable driving that truck than any other car because I don't care about potholes anymore. You know, before, because you know the alloys on one of my cars was just so tiny, the run flat wheels and everything. You could feel every single sig dimp. You know, and it was just so uncomfortable. But I loved it because it was manual, and I was in that mode. You know, I just loved driving manual. And then when I moved over to automatic, and then I don't need to worry about curbs anymore. It just makes a difference, and you just think, oh, you know what, I've got to where I'm going.
I think
Not
it's
worry
crazy,
about anything.
Isn't it, how comfortable and at home you feel in certain vehicles?
Yeah.
Like you say with the Peugeot, you get back in that and you really enjoy that. It is funny how it makes you feel, you know, how comfortable you feel in them and what experience you get from them. It really does depend on the individual. Everyone's got their own taste.
That's it. It's an individual preference, and that you can't change that, can you?
Yeah, like you say, no one else knows how that makes you feel, or how comfortable that vehicle makes you feel, and how you enjoy it. It's just everyone looking from the outside in, isn't it? Really.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've had years where, like in the BMW, I couldn't drive it in the snow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I couldn't even drive it in the wet, let alone in the snow. So I was like, right, okay, but this, I don't care. You know, I can't wait for the snow to come just to give it a go.
Oh yeah,
And,
definitely.
you know, it's got the heated seats, and I love the heated seats. Obviously, the Peugeot doesn't, but that's one of the luxuries of driving a modern car.
Well, thank you very much, Korey, for being a guest.
That's all right.
Hope you've enjoyed the first Talk Top, and hope everybody else here has enjoyed it. Did it? Yeah. You know where that came
We all
from,
had
did it?
fun.
Did it? Well, yeah, thank you. It's been the first one, over and out.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, we could get them up on the screen. So go to Talk Up. They'll come up on the screen.
You can do it over Tim's face. So if you just point at Tim's face, we'll just
Find
put it
our
over his
socials
face.
here and here.